trombone players, we're going to go over our first 6 notes that we've learned this year so you can practice them over break, okay? So we're going to start with our lowest note, B flat. And I'm turning like this so you can see my slide a little bit better, right? Because if I do it like this, it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, all right? So remember that we have 6 notes, but we've only got 4 slide positions so far. Now, slide positions are tricky, okay? There is a diagram in the back of your book, but there's really no substitute for taking the instrument out every day and just getting used to how far or how close you have to put the slide. However, our first slide position is pretty easy because that's the slide pressed all the way in, and that's our B flat. Now, one way you can warm up is take your mouthpiece out, keep your lips together, keep your corners kind of pulled back right here, but relax your mouth a little bit when you blow air out to just get this. Now that's called buzzing, right? If I take this away, my mouth looks like this. But this is good practice to make sure you're consistently getting a sound, right? So I'm going to put the mouthpiece back in, and I'm going to do my B flat with my slide all the way in. Like that, and try to get control of the note and see if you can make it last for a few seconds. And that is our B flat. Now, you guys have been able to do that pretty well, so I don't think that's going to be a big problem. But our next slide position, unfortunately, is a little weird. We go from B flat, our next note up, we are already going all the way to our 6th slide position. Now, this is almost as far as your arm can reach out, but it's not quite because there is actually a 7th slide position, which is just a little further. So you kind of have to get a feel for where that 6th one is. And one way to do that is start with B flat, slide up and try to play that C. And if that sounds right, then you kind of remember about where you are. And don't go too far, because then you're not going to get that note. Right? Make sure it's just about right. And you can test that by going back to B flat again. So there are our first 2 notes. We have B flat. Now, from our 6th slide position, we move to our 4th slide position, which is, I think of it as this part of the slide just about lined up with the bell here. So if you can do that, that's a way to think of it, right? And I'll even, it's kind of hard to see, but I'll even, as I am bringing my slide back, catch the bell with my thumb just to check what I'm doing. And again, you want to start, tightening up your embouchure a little bit and making that air a little bit faster to press the note up, not too much. And this is our D note. And that is our 4th slide position. Now, to get our E flat, which is our next note, we want to move it up so this bar here is kind of just past the bell. I think in the book it says this bar is lined up exactly with the bell. That actually sounds pretty good. So that's one way to think of it. This bar here should be lined up with your bell. If you press it in just a little further, it doesn't make a big difference. But that's the landmark you want to look for. Now, our next note, F, is back to our first slide position again. So all the way in, but this time you've got to think of pushing that note up so your airspeed increases, your mouth gets a little bit tighter, and you should feel a bit more pressure when you play to get that F. Now, one thing you can do to control how your mouth is moving is try to go from B flat to F. From B flat to F. Loosen your mouth, tighten your mouth. now for our last note that we just learned, we are going back to fourth position. Because remember, each position has several different notes you can play depending on how tight your mouth is. So we are moving ourselves back to fourth and trying our G, right? So line this part of the slide up with the bell, and you try that. Now something you can also do here is, since you also play a lower D in fourth position, you can try going back and forth between those. Just like you do in first position. Now, one thing some of my trombone friends have told me, it's important to keep your lips together. So if you're kind of doing this when you're playing, don't. Keep your lips together and just let the air come out and separate them naturally, all right? So every day, pick up your instrument and go through all 6 of these notes. Start with the lowest, go to the highest, and then come back down again. You don't need to do it in any particular rhythm, but just wait till you feel like you've got control over the note, it sounds good, and then move on, like this. And then try to work backwards, starting with the G, going down to B flat.